It's PNL Live. We are back. Zach Dominguez is joining me today. Thank you so much, brother, for hopping on here. And I got some stuff from the big man. Okay, Skinny sent me some stuff. The boss man sent me some stuff that we got to go over.
All right.
Career National League is excited to bring 2024 PNL freestyle duels to Werner Park. Catch the action in person at Werner Park in Papillion, Nebraska, or go to the PNL Rockfin channel. Gates open at 12:30. First whistle starts at 1 p.m. Placing matches are at 6:30 p.m. That is all this Saturday. Saturday is the 18th, as far as I'm told. And because I don't keep a good hold of these, dates and things, I just kind of keep on moving in the same direction. How about this? How about this for funny? I'm like, I get into these kind of I don't know. I don't want to call it a rut, but I get into like these actions of like, I'm just moving in a direction and this is where I'm going. And so I just assumed, I don't know why I assumed this, but I assumed that I booked my flight for Wednesday night, red eye, getting into Omaha on Thursday. That's not true at all. In fact, so much so that I called my neighbor and I was like, "Hey, can you get the kids to school on Thursday?" And I took I condensed everything into like 3 days. I got a shoot schedule that I got to be at the beach for and stuff like that, and everything's condensed to Wednesday. Well, now I got an extra day. So
look at you.
My wife's like, "Hey, did you check in for your flight?" I'm like, "I did not." She's like, "Why not?" I'm like, and I look at my phone. I'm like, "Because I'm not leaving till tomorrow night." She's like, "Got it. Cool."
Makes sense.
Such is life, right? I mean, like, the deal. Like, you get like road weary almost from the travel.
Mm-hmm.
And were you in Vegas?
Yep. Oh yeah.
I took Vegas off.
Sissy.
How did the first, how did the MWC kids do in Vegas, and then how did the PNL from what you were watching? How did the PNL kids do in Vegas?
PNL, the boys did wonderful. I think we had three finalists in Greco, and then 2 finalists in freestyle across the board. MWC had 1 finalist in Greco, and then 1 medal in freestyle, being Cruiser, and then Adonis almost, and then we had 4 in the blood round at round of 12 for U17. So we were right there. One of my favorite matches was Abdi Unli. My favorite match in that he learned a lot because he lost. He was up 6-2 on Burnett and then lost 8-7 going out of that match. But he's right there.
Yeah, right, but what do you learn? Like, so look, here's the thing, right? Like, this is a big part of what I'm doing with some of my athletes right now, and it's like, I got kids that get plumb pissed off when they're drilling hard and it doesn't go their way. And I'm like, bro, you're missing the point here. What's the famous Thomas Edison quote? I didn't fail 1,000 times. Right. I just found 1,000 ways not to make a light bulb.
Not to make a light bulb. Yep.
Right. Well, you just found a new way not to get to a lace off of your double A. Like, but like they don't get that. Yeah. They're getting it better now.
Yeah.
But I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, either you win positions or you learn. So what, in your estimation, did he learn by taking that 8-7 loss?
That when you're wrestling high caliber kids, the biggest thing I think he had to learn was he couldn't, being able to hold a lead against a high caliber wrestler is very hard to do, right? Yeah. So and Burnett's superstar, awesome kid, man. He's fantastic, and I think he thought he could do it, and then he found out he cannot do it, and that's the thing he learned. And I said, as you get older, you go into college, things like that. It's you got to learn, if you're going to hold a lead, just assume it's always 1-0, right?
Yeah.
Assume everything's 1-0. It doesn't matter if it's 9-1. It's still 1-0.
1-0.
1-0. Right? Whether you're scoring or defending, you're still winning. You're just assuming it's 1-0. And that's usually like 99% of every kind of conversation I have after a loss like that is always like, hey, it's not, what are you thinking, you knucklehead, or da 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 da. You blew it. It's hey, what'd you learn? And I make them do it right then and there. right? You got to come up the mat. Abdi was disappointed, sad. Hey, I go, you're going to take 20 minutes, 30 minutes on your own. Well, while you're out there being upset, I want you to come back to me and tell me what you learned. That's it. That's all I want to know. Because it's easy for me to tell him what he did wrong, right? We can all do that. Like, hey, you shouldn't let him score on you in the third minute, and you shouldn't let him score on you in the 5th minute. Yeah, these are all things that are easy to point out.
There's a lot of no shit factors in there.
yeah, it's pretty easy for me to do, but I want to know what you learned.
Well, it's funny, man, because so much training and like I think I can speak intelligently to this because I've been in a lot of different wrestling rooms over the course of the last 35 years. And so much emphasis is put on technique.
Yes.
And it should be, right? Like you have to be skilled in this sport. There's no question. But I think one of the things that doesn't get addressed until later on in their, I don't know, high school career, I'd say, right? So you're talking about a U17 kid. Is that correct?
Yep.
Okay. I dealt with the same thing last year in Vegas. The kid that I grew up training, a kid named Anthony Knox, made it to the U17 finals. And there was nothing really wrong with the way that he wrestled technically. I think the product that he put out on the mat in those two matches, he got beaten both of them. The technical product that he put out on the mat was very good. But one of the things that I spoke to him and his dad about afterwards was, boy, you can't manage a clock for shit. Like, boy, like, and like that's a really hard thing to teach. And probably and like you said, at a high level, it's an even harder thing to implement. Right.
Yes.
And when I say that, what was going on was in the first match, he didn't start his sprint soon enough. Down by, let's call it 2. I don't remember exactly how much he was down by, but let's call it 2. Down by 2, he didn't start his sprint till like 25 seconds left.
Ooh,
that's not good, right?
No,
like you better against Marcus Blaze, boy, you better be sure of that one attack that you're gonna hit. But it didn't work out. And then in the second match, he was up by 2, and he just started to defend with about a minute and a half left. That's way too long.
He's kind of
like
backwards.
You're letting him get like 10 shots off.
For sure.
And he's going to score. I mean, the kid's too high level not to score.
For sure.
So it's like, you started your sprint too late and you started to brick it up too early. And that's poor clock management. And it was addressed. It was for sure addressed. For sure. But now here's my question to you. How do you go about teaching or addressing clock management with high school athletes? And can you give me an instance of a kid that sucked at it and then got better?
Yeah. So I spend a lot of time with my nephew, Cruiser. And I like him a lot. He's related to me, so we hang out.
We'll keep him.
Yeah, we're gonna keep him, right? He's going against the family Greco because he's a freestyler, but we'll keep him. So he struggled with doing that a lot. He likes to score points, but when he figured out he could try to hold a lead, he would start it too soon, right? Yeah. So I really spent like a whole year in the wrestling room talking about like the whole group, but really emphasizing Cruiser. Hey, you're down by a point. Every time you wrestle, every time we go live, you're down by a point, right? Don't think of it. Internet's going in and out. Don't think of it as you're down by a point like it's a drill. Make it a mindset, right? And then once you understand that mindset, you're going to move into I'm up by a point, right? So I tell people a lot of times, I have a lot of wrestlers, I think, that it's really hard, and I think this is for everyone, to win a 1-0 match. I don't know too many young kids that can win a 1-0 match. Like, and I'm going to say this, and you're going to think I'm crazy, but Bo Bassett will not win a 1-0 match.
Doesn't exist in his world.
Right, doesn't exist in his world. He cannot have if it's a 1-0 match, he would lose his mind, right? And I don't mean that in a bad way because he's a goer. But if you're going to beat Bo Bassett, try to beat him 1-0 and see how that works, right? I mean, that's essentially what it's coming down to. And that's where I think a lot of kids struggle. I go, well, if you can wrestle a match and win 10-9, you're going to win. If you can score 10 points, you're going to win, right? That's the point. Keep scoring until you get to 10, and then that's what I talk about a lot. You can't win a 1-0 match, but you can win a 10-9 match. And I go, well, they're like, well, what's the difference? I said, you're always wrestling. Yeah. I go, if you're winning a 1-0 match, you're not wrestling. You're defending. You're putting all your effort into doing nothing. So I try to get them into the mindset of win a 1-0 match, but make it 10-9, make it 14-13, right? I go,
yeah, but when does that? Yeah, but you're right.
Yeah.
You're right. But we all know, Zach.
Yeah.
That there is a point on the clock where you go, all right, we got to break it up. Like you don't need to take a shot right now.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Right. Like, but so I guess, and I know, like, not that you would, but like a lot of coaches are going to say, well, it depends on from kid to kid. Mm-hmm. Yeah. No shit. Right. But is there a general rule of like, all right, look, 25 seconds left, you could probably stop attacking.
Yes.
Or is it 30?
I think it in my sweet spot, it's between 25 and 35.
Yeah.
Yeah, that if the better you are, like 35 is your max, 25 is your min, and I try to keep it to a 10-second window. If you're gonna break it up, you better be really good at 35 seconds, or you're still working on it, and you're gonna get it down to 25 seconds to break it up. That's my wheelhouse, 25 to 35.
So now, what does it look like technically when you need to hold off and break it up?
Yeah, so for me, it's one of two things. You're either matching head, hands down, and you're staying in the center, or you're taking a 2-on-1, right? Or good wrist control, right?
We say underhooks. Get to an underhook.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Find a way.
Just find a way. Hang out there. Just keep it 50-50. And I know 50-50 is nervousing. So if they are in an underhook, I'm going to be like, hey, can we be in a better position, right? We're shoring it up. Wrist control, 2-on-1s. Head in the pocket, right? Really matching head, hands down. Just taking a literally you're gonna lose the fight in 25 seconds, but you're gonna win the war.
Right.
In 25
seconds. It's okay to do that. Right.
Right. Yeah.
We'll go. So we took a lot from the Cubans in that, like, I will find your shooting hand by hook or by crook.
Yep.
And I will hold on, like I will attack your shooting hand, even if I gotta bite it. Like I don't care what I gotta do.
What I gotta do? It's mine.
It's mine. Like I'm holding it. Yeah.
Yep.
So the Cubans kind of did that better than most. I don't know, man. Like it's little things like this that like that open the door for me. Like coaching becomes just so infinitely difficult.
Oh, it does. Right. Walk down that path a million trillion times. You're right. It's because the problem is it's so individualized, but you want to have a team effort. You want everybody to be on the team to do the same thing, but they're never going to do it as good as the guy next to them, right? Or they're going to be worse than the guy next to them.
Sure.
And because then the guy next to him learns his own skill. And then you got to learn what he's doing, right? You're like, oh, I got to learn something new today.
Sure. Yeah. It's tricky. You said team. Well, let's talk about the first of its kind dual meet championships that's taking place in your backyard.
Yep.
This coming weekend, man. Man, Skinny told me that we're running a dual meet tournament. And I was like, all right, right on. I'm in. Like, that's cool, right?
Right. Yep.
That's number one. And then he's like, oh, yeah, we're doing it at Werner Park. I'm like, also cool. I like that too. Yep. And he's like, oh yeah, and by the way, we're going to be out of there in 5 hours. I'm like, now you're talking my language.
There you go. Yep.
And then he goes, it's going to be all freestyle. And I'm like, this rules, Yep. So tell me how this, I know you and Skinny kind of work hand in hand to get this thing moving. Talk to me about what the thought process was for having dual meet championships for PNL and also like having a pretty dope spot at Werner Park.
So Skinny and I had been toying around with the idea, and we were like, we really do need a duels. We're growing. We need to start figuring out a good format, and we thought we'd have a little fun with it. I'm assuming once we can get all the teams involved in the duels, it'll probably move inside of a building. We won't be able to do it outside. But I thought, you know what? I went to the 2 years ago or a year ago. I can't remember. Was it down in Texas when they had the battle at the ballpark down there?
Mm-hmm.
I thought, why we can't do that here, right?
Yeah.
We're well warm enough. And then we thought about it. And then what was it? Yeah. Then out of the blue, Werner Park sent me an email. Hey, we're looking for things to do. We've seen that, they actually referenced the Iowa-Oklahoma State duel. We
Mm-hmm.
saw that was outside. It was like 4 years ago, but it was in November. Do you guys want to do anything in May? And they had this ideal time slot, 1 to 8. They're basically doing a ton of the work for us in the mat scheme. So they brought in the floors. We'll have a mat right over home, a mat down the first baseline, a mat down the second baseline, and then one right behind, or I suppose in the infield. Mm-hmm. So it looks like a diamond in the diamond for mats. And then the one that's
I see what you did there. I see what you did there.
The one over home plate will be elevated, so that mat will be the finals mat, but they'll rotate the teams through there. I think Ben made it so he's always on there because he's the one scheming up the rock fan or whatever they use it. So we have 2 pools of 4. We got the teams we have in are ourselves, Pinnacle, Askren, Greater Heights, Immortal. Shoot, Skinny's gonna be mad at me. I just looked it up the other day.
I can pull it up. Don't worry. Keep talking. Keep talking.
So we'll have 8 teams in, 2 pools of 4. So we'll have 4 duels. So it should be formatted pretty well. We originally had, I think we were going to try to do 10 duels or 10 teams, but 4 made more sense and it just fit pretty well. And
sure,
as teams started to evolve, kids, like for right now, it's really hard to pull any seniors in because they're graduating. So I don't have one senior on my team, which is okay. And I don't think, actually, I probably would assume a lot of people don't.
Yeah, but you got a decent little squad coming, and I get it.
Yeah.
It's a little easier for you guys because you don't have to travel at all.
Right. Yeah. For us, it's easy. Yeah, for sure.
But also, so it's Askren, Michigan Grapplers.
There it is. Yep.
Bear Cave, Immortal,
mm-hmm.
Greater Heights, MWC, and Pinnacle and the ones that you named also.
Yep.
Yeah, Askren. It looks like to me that it's gonna, and this is pretty ancillary.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like you guys and Askren are.
Yeah, if it works out based on the seating points that we put together, yeah, probably. But you never know, right? I mean, kids.
No, and
like hot.
But also, here's the cool thing to me. You guys, it looks like Askren is bringing. He's not bringing the Aiden Sinclairs, but he is bringing the Kellen Wolberts. Like he's bringing some horses, right?
Absolutely, yeah, for sure.
You guys have some studs, and it's easier. Cade Ziolas are. He's a stud. Like he's an absolute hammer.
Yep.
And then Cruiser and stuff like that. But like Immortal, they chose not to bring their A squad.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with that, by the way.
Nothing.
Like this is a great way because they're kind of saving some of their horses for the national duels.
Yep.
Well, guess what? These kids that they're bringing might be their B squad, but that's the way they become their A squad.
That is correct.
Like, you know, and I think that, like, dude, the guys that they're bringing, I'm really excited because Cruz and them do a great job.
Fantastic
job. They get it. I love him. I love Hodges. I've known Hodges for forever.
Mm-hmm.
But they do such a great job of developing young athletes that I'm stoked. Yeah, am I going to have eyes peeled on NWC and Askren? And am I going to have a camera trained on them? Yes, 100%. But as a wrestling nerd, I'm like, okay, who's next?
Yeah,
right? Who's the next crop of athletes coming out of Cedar Falls? And like that's another thing that boggles my mind. It's such a small area, population wise, that like they are putting together incredible athletes. And like you say, oh yeah, well it's just Schwab's kids. No, it's not. They have athletes.
They got good wrestlers.
They got some real good wrestlers, man.
Yep.
And then we got Bear Cave, right? Up in Colorado. They're coming down, and they are pretty. I don't want to say strictly, but they're freestyle and Greco very centric.
Absolutely.
They're
Very sharp.
real technically sound.
Yep.
You know, those guys, Ben does a great job up there, and like tougher than hell.
Yeah.
Tougher.
Yep.
Tougher than hell, right? Just look at what his son did at the national tournament.
Right. The 20
at the
seed or
NCAA.
whatever there was.
I think it was like the 19. I think it wound up being the 19 seed. He places for the University of Minnesota. Like,
yeah, that's awesome.
Outstanding.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's fun. And I don't know a whole ton about Greater Heights. Do you know those guys at all?
Yeah, so they've always been in our area. We see them quite a bit just from like little kids, local on up. But they're going to have some tough kids. They'll have Missouri. They're very Missouri tough. They're probably the next to Victory in Missouri. They're in the Kansas City area. Probably if they're not the toughest, they're tied for first with Victory because of who's the Brewer. Brewer's a new coach at Victory. So I think they're trying to rebuild that. The new high school coach, and they're really trying to build that club right now. They've had a lot of those guys came from Oak Park when Mayhap.
Is that right?
Yeah. So the coaches and people at wherever Brewer coached, I can't remember the name of the high school he's coaching at. That's where they all come from with the Gary Mayhap time frame. And I think at the time, way back when, the other coach was there, Mike Haggerty. They were together there when they built those kids that are now high school coaches and starting that program up again. And I think that's where my youngest brother Esai, he lives in Kansas City. I think that's where he's headed.
Okay.
Is because Brewer and him were similar age growing up.
Interesting.
Yep.
I hope upon hope that what's his name? Jason Keck, who is the head coach over there.
Yep.
I hope he brings some ribs down.
Okay. Right. Or up, right? We're
up. Sorry.
Yep.
Yeah. I hope he brings some ribs because I got to tell you something. Were you at the NCAA tournament?
No, I was actually at the training center doing Olympic prep for trials.
Dude, I'm telling you, like dollar for dollar, place for place, pound for pound, Kansas City might be one of my new favorite spots to have the NCAA tournament.
Oh, you know what? Way back in the early 2000s when they had it there, it was a blast. I went there the last time I was there.
And, but they said that the last time, and I wasn't there the last time, but it was like down by the waterfront and stuff like that. But this one was right downtown.
Yeah, Power Light was across the street.
Dude,
it was
Power Light.
Yep.
Dude, it was perfectly set up.
Yeah.
Like the Power and Light, like all that stuff, like the bars were all there. And why is that important? Well, because like when you go with like, I was with Lawrence and I was with a couple other people and like, you know, you go with those guys and they're like, oh, well, the Minnesota folks are sitting over at this bar. Oh, and then the Nebraska folks are sitting over at this bar. Well, you know, let's just walk over and say hello to the Nebraska folks. And
absolutely.
You know, the Oklahoma State people are over here. Let's go hang out with them for a minute. And so you can walk. It was awesome. Like the food, that barbecue's good.
Oh, it's real good. My oldest daughter, or my second oldest daughter, does gymnastics down there quite a bit. So yes, I 100% know the area and I love it down there.
Dude, it's pretty lights out, man. Pretty lights out. That said, I don't know that I'm ever going back to an NCAA tournament. It was just so much.
It was a lot. Yeah. I wanted to go because it was so close, but I'm like, I'm gonna go out here to the training center. It'll keep me from doing things I don't need to do.
For sure. Yeah. Like, listen, let's be completely honest, right? Like, we're not coaching, right? Because we're not coaching the event. Nobody acts right during the week of NCAA.
Nope.
Like,
you're right. I very rarely get to go to an event where I'm not coaching, and I'm like, man, I don't know what to do with my hands.
Yeah.
They're gonna hold things.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Because you know, it's not the worst, but it's not the worst thing to be a fan for a little bit. But I will say this: they're losing me.
Yeah,
in terms of like 3 days is too long to keep my attention.
It's a big deal. That's a lot of matches over 3 days.
A lot of matches.
So the last time freestyle did that was in 2004, and I wrestled at that trials. I wrestled 2 matches on a Friday, 3 matches on a Saturday, and 1 match on a Sunday. And I was so stinking tired. And I'm like, well, no wonder everybody's tired. Then they switched the format. Of course, all the rules changed for all the crazy dark times of freestyle there and Greco. Yeah. And then they got it back to where it should be, and it's nicer now. So it's good.
I think we should I don't know. Maybe we have a super region in between. right? Like you're like set the seeds and
Yep.
then just I don't know. But then you're adding to travel. I get that too. It's just it's a lot to ask. Look, let's be completely honest. The finals took all of 3 hours. 3 hours is a lot, and like
it's long.
It took 90 minutes to get through the first 2 matches.
Yes, because of the
blood time and the challenge and the
yep.
Like it took 90 minutes to get through 2 matches.
Yeah, and that could happen every match sometimes if you're not careful, right? You just don't know. Well, I shouldn't say not careful. It could just happen.
It could just happen. Like, it's not careful, right? It just it's nobody's fault, right?
Nobody. Yeah, it just happens. Yeah.
I don't know. That said, I'm not saying I'm never going to an NCAA tournament again because, like, one of the things that I said about getting my son into wrestling was, I just want somebody to go to the NCAA tournament with when I'm old, And sure enough, he is starting to get pretty into it, but I just don't know that I'm spending. I mean, it's 5 days, right? Like you got to show up on Wednesday. You got to watch the finals. But yeah, it's a lot to ask of our viewers, but they're seeming to do pretty good numbers. So
they're not falling behind. But yeah, I agree.
It's a lot. It's a lot, Zach Dominguez.
No, you win. Well, I want to go. So one of my bucket lists is I want to go to European Championships. I want to go to Euros and hang out for a week there. I'm always on the UWW website. Where haven't I been? In what city that I want to go to? I'm like, oh yeah, that's where I want to go.
Yeah. That's pretty dope. Okay. What else? What else should we know about? So give me one kid to really hone in on that I might not know. I know the Ziola kid.
So I'll give you a
Cruiser.
Yep. There's a relatively unknown. He just came out of a bad hamstring. His name's Tony Palmer. He was a double runner-up. So a quick story about him. Okay. He's out of Sioux City. He comes down to practice 3 days a week, works his butt off. He's the number 1 or number 2 football player in the state at this moment in time for running back or whatever his stats are. He's a hammer. He got off of an injury. He had 2 days of practice and went to Northern Plains and was double runner-up.
Really?
Just ran out of juice after 9 matches. He probably should have won freestyle, but he was out of juice after 9 matches and was worn down. I think it was Tony Palmer.
215.
I'm really trying to get him not to play football. really like. I mean, I got a leash on him. I'm like, just come with me. We'll be okay. Yeah. Come on. But
you can hit people. We can get you to hit people. Yeah. It's no big deal.
And he's just a solid mass of muscle. And when him and Cade get after it, Cade and him wrestled in the state tournament 2 years ago in the semifinals, and it was a knockdown drag out, like 13-12. When Cade was sophomore year. It was a fantastic match. And Cade got the better of him there at 13-12. And Cade would probably still beat him now because of his length, because he's just crazy good at it. But Tony gives him all he wants.
Did you see the breakdown that I did?
Every day in the room. I'm like, Cade, can you try to touch a knee? That's what it works, right?
Just let me hear me out.
Yeah.
But he uses his length.
Yes.
So well. Yep. And I don't know if it even made the final cut of the video that I did, but like he's got a foot up and he's got the balls to like reach down and grab the other dude's leg and try and jack him up that way.
Yep.
Like, holy smokes.
How
comfortable do you got to be with your foot in the air?
Yeah, he is definitely have his own unique style. And we have another one just like him that's going to be as big as him soon. It's Riley Johnson at 165. Okay. He's big giant redhead. So we got to keep an eye on him all the time. But he's 6. He's 6. I like to say he's 5'12" plus 1. And he's like, just can't you say 6'1"? No, 5'12" plus 1. 5'12" plus 1. 5'12" plus 1. And he's good. He was 6th at cadets last year. He was a first-year cadet last year. So he'll be a cadet this year again.
You're a big young kid, huh?
Yeah, real big young kid.
Yeah,
it's hard and wrestles hard. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, you guys do a great job out there, man. You guys do such a good job.
They're good kids, man. They all work hard. They do their jobs very, very well.
All right. Anything else before we go? We got to get moving here.
No, the weather's supposed to be good. I've been tracking it. We're like 82 degrees. We're going to be on white mats. Learned our lesson like 10 years ago. No black mats.
Yeah, not
so
good.
White mats.
Yeah, the people don't understand the logistics that go into
Yes.
putting an event on outside. It's not easy.
It's
and
not
a lot of people it up bad.
Yeah, they do.
Goof it up bad, dude.
Yep. So, and I would tell you,
and like big organizations like Beat the Streets had to learn the hard way.
Yep.
And almost crippling one of the greatest of all time.
Don't even say
Do you remember that one?
Yeah, I remember it. It was crazy, man. It was nuts. Those water. So that's why we picked the time frame, that 1 to 8. So the sun won't be down yet, so the dew won't hit. The lights won't turn. The lights will kind of maybe be on, but it won't change the temperature of the mat. And the white mats stay cool. They don't and they reflect. I will tell you, bring sunglasses. Those white mats are bright. So you see coaches in the corner with sunglasses on, and the sunscreen, because you'll get that reflection a lot. You'll get hot personally. It won't be hot. You'll just be like, why am I just feeling like there's so much happening below me?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's bright.
Good looking out.
Yeah.
Okay. That's some good advice.
Yep.
I will make sure to do that. All right.
Yep.
Awesome. Zach Dominguez. Thank you, brother. I appreciate you
you
coming on, talking a little bit of wrestling with me. I'll talk to you soon.
Appreciate having me, man. We'll see you soon.
Later.
Later.